Welcome to the Stack of Stats podcast. Pam Maldonado, joined by my girl Kelly in Vegas, bringing you 5 against the spread contest picks for week 16 of the NFL. Kelly, we went 2-2-1 last week. I think that's a win, but we went 4-1 the week prior. But I feel pretty good about week 16. How are you feeling?
Well, I was feeling really good going into this week. Pam and I was on my podcast yesterday with John Murray, who's the director of the Westgate Superbook, and he's like, "Hey, kid, congratulations! You won like $3,800. You tied with a few other guys, taking second in the weeks 13 through 15 contest." I'm like, "Oh, cool! So I get 10% back on my losses this year." It's like when your bookie feels sorry for you, and he's like, "Wow!" Like, and Chris texts me. He's like, "Oh, better than a sharp stick in the eye." Well, he's right. It was better than a sharp stick in the eye because some guy just said, "Is there something wrong with the website? It looks like you went 11-4." And I'm in a bunch of different contests, and I like to pick probably 2, 3, and sometimes 4 teams that I really feel strongly about, and then I mix up the
Mhm.
fifth quite often. And so I was like, well, I know I went 5-0 the first week, which was great, and I'm pretty sure I went 4-1 last week. I'm like, but did I go 3-2? That can't be right. That couldn't have put. And I knew that I'd put in the Chargers on Thursday in that contest because of John Murray. So I logged back into the winner's circle thing, and I'm like, no, it says I went 3-2 last week. Something is off here. So I called John and I was like, hey, is this right? And he goes, I definitely signed a check with your name on it. And I'm like, okay. And then they started calling and we got on a 3-way call and he's like, who's Raider Rewind? And I'm like, oh my God, I signed up for my agent. I forgot I signed up for my agent when I was in Vegas because I was there for 10 days of hell. And
Oh my
that is
God.
exactly what happened. So congratulations to my agent for tying in second on the weeks 13 through 15 in the Westgate Super Contest. And now I have a sharp stick in my eye. So my attitude going into the show about 27 minutes ago was a lot better than it is now. Pam, we need a 5-0. We both said this before we
We
went
need
on
a
air.
we need a
I need a
freaking
fucking
5 and
win.
0. Both of
I
us
need a
need our
fucking win.
spirits uplifted right now.
I need to see the ball go through the hoop. I need to see the game-winning kick go through the uprights right now. Maybe I should have had a better attitude when I thought that I won $3,800, but such is
Well
life.
then well then let's roll that into this week. Let's come into this with a better attitude. We're going to go 5-0 finally this season, and because we're going to either agree or disagree, I don't even care. We're going to figure out our 5 against the spread contest picks and we're going to have a great week. Let's start with that. Just a reminder of what it is we're doing. It is 5 against the spread NFL contest picks. These lines are released every Wednesday and they do not change. Kelly's best bet automatically in, my best bet automatically in. And we've been kind of back and forth with disagreeing, mostly disagreeing. That has been kind of working for us. So we'll see if that comes to fruition this week again. Once again, I didn't ask you what your best bet was, so I'm entirely blind right now. What are you rolling with for week 16?
Yeah, this may end up being a square dog, but I really don't care. 15, 3-2. That's Lamar Jackson as an underdog. 83% against the spread. I know. Hey, Brock Purdy, let's give him the Lombardi. Super Bowl champs. 49ers are now the favorite in pretty much every single scenario. I know both of these guys want the 1 seed. They're both 11-3. I think this number is just a little bit too high. And maybe, just maybe, the Baltimore Ravens looked a little too good in that win over your Jaguars the other night. Jags had 3 stalled, I won't even call it trips to the red zone. God, those were pathetic attempts. And then Brandon McManus missed field goal. It is what it is. Got to cash the under. Luckily, I tailed one of my buddies on that one. But boy, oh boy, does nobody want to give the Baltimore Ravens credit for that win. I do think we're going to see a Baltimore pass defense be able to slow down this San Francisco pass offense. I do think we're going to get some pass rush on Brock Purdy, throw him out of his game. Again, I would almost blindly bet Lamar Jackson as an underdog with these numbers. 83% in his time in Baltimore. I mean, what do you want from me? That's as close as to free money as you can get. That's all I'm going to say. I have not sprinkled yet on the Ravens money line. I'm kind of debating. I think this could be a last minute field goal kick. Honestly, maybe by either team. But we know that the better kicker here is going to be Justin Tucker, regardless. I think this is going to be a really good game on Monday night.
I'm not in disagreement with you, but I will be entirely honest. This is transparency, and that is what I do best, at least with my Twitter account. So I haven't even gone to the Monday games. So those are the 3 that I have to look at next. I'm gonna believe you. I trust you. I
You're
like
having too much
Ravens
fun
as
right
an
now,
underdog.
Pam. Like, living your
Huh?
best life, like just your white background. God knows where you are. I'm just glad you're still alive.
I am in the bunker. I'm gonna tell you, I'm in a bunker in the middle of nowhere. I'll go with that much. I had to escape Las Vegas. Kelly in Vegas, no more. Pam in Vegas, no more. Both had to get the heck out of Dodge and try to experience something new. I will tell you, it's been refreshing. So I'm going to
Hey,
um
good.
come
Clear
into this
clear
week with
your
some good
head.
vibes.
Get rid of the noise because I have a feeling you have to be back in time for a bunch of shows this weekend. So you've
Yes.
still got time to do some work. I don't blame you. Most of the Monday games are not that intriguing, but this Monday night game, whether this was a 1 o'clock on Sunday game, whether it was a Thursday night game, whether it's a Monday night game, I do like the Ravens.
So I will I'm gonna come into this with some good vibes this week. And this is the most favorites that I have ever liked, probably ever. So I'm not gonna name a best bet at this moment. I want to roll through some options with you. And I have to.
Okay.
I absolutely have to because help me see the bright side of things. Help me see things clear. You were wanting to back the Bears in back to back weeks, and I was like, I can't do it. It's my team. I understand. Just a field to start in a roll. Okay, well, I actually like the Bears this week as 4-point favorites to the Arizona Cardinals. This Chicago offense is so close to being great. Yes, I'm going to say that. They are so close to being maybe not great, but really, really good because of Justin Fields' rushing ability. That has been such a true difference maker. It's something that he's always utilized back in college. They're finally utilizing it more in his NFL career. He's able to scramble out of the pocket. He's able to extend the plays. He's reading the defenses better. And because of that, he has open men downfield. Now, the problem is why they are so close, this Bears offense, is because his wide receivers got to show up and do their damn jobs and catch the damn thing. He had a couple of drops last week from tight end Robert Tonyan, Darnell Mooney. Those drops cost the Bears a win. But still, there's an opportunity here for Justin Fields to continue on that train with his mobility. He's averaging 63 rushing yards in his last 4 games, now getting a very soft defense in the Cardinals. This is a perfect get right spot for the Chicago, who should have had a win last week. But at least now the Cardinals blitz at the lowest rate. They're 30th in pressure. Fields, he will be kept clean. He will have a big game, both on the ground. If his wide receivers can do their jobs and catch, he can have a really stellar passing game too. Spread the ball around, have a balanced offense. Good things are coming for this offense. I really hope to see Justin Fields stay as the quarterback with the Bears and give him another year and kind of like really build on the momentum that they have had. Now, on defense, if you can turn that Arizona offense into a passing team, collapse the pocket with Kyler Murray, force him to hold the ball, make him second guess his abilities, make him make mistakes because it is going to happen. Attack him with that pass rush and play zone. Murray has 14 sacks in the 5 games that he's played. Now you're doing that against the number one run defense. You're going to take away his legs, and he has not been good on that passing game. I really love this Bears offense to just like continue on with the route that they're going.
I think it's really funny. So I was on the Bears 2 weeks ago versus the Packers. You wanted nothing to do with them. I was on the Bears last week in the contest because there was three
And
and a
now you want the
halves
Cardinals.
hanging out. And this week I'm on the Cardinals. I took the +4 here. Of course I did, Pam. You got to know when to play these losers and when to play against them. The Bears are absolutely going to stay with Justin Fields because they don't know any better, right? They've been on a
He
quarterback
is good.
carousel for the last 25 years.
He's
And in
good.
between those quarterbacks, they've had new coaches. So they have to have some continuity. So they're going to stay with them. Most Bears fans want him to stay. And frankly, there's not much better out there. Now, I liked Arizona late last week, and I missed the good number, and I'm still kicking myself for doing that. They had
Mhm.
234 yards on the ground versus the Niners, and that is, the number one defense against the rush. I love James Conner. Now that he's fully healthy, I think he is going to absolutely have himself a day. Obviously, with Kyler Murray back in the mix for this Cardinals team is a good thing. And the question is, we always talk about how players don't tank, that organizations want them to. Who really needs this win here, or who really needs this loss, more importantly? And I think this is going to be really interesting. So I did take the 4 here with the Cardinals, but I could see them losing by a field goal with the Bears. The Bears are just like the Broncos. Friends don't let friends lay points with the Broncos, and friends don't let friends lay points with the Bears.
I'm pretty sure that I'm going to come back to the end of this podcast and say Bears is my best bet because to your
I have a
argument of
feeling you
how
are.
well the Cardinals offense did last week against the 49ers, garbage time, baby girl. 13 points in the fourth quarter. No, they were not efficient. No, they
And
were
what
not
happened in
effective.
garbage time in Cleveland?
It was
What
only
happened? The
because San
Bears
Francisco was
completely
up a
folded.
bajillion points that they decided to be like, hey, you know what? We're going to ease off a bit. We're going to kind of sit back and relax because we're not losing this
Um,
game.
did you watch that full game?
I did.
It was actually a little bit of both. If you watch the first half, the Cardinals absolutely had the ability to hang around, and then they ended up kind of getting the bricks beat off of them late. So yes, they did score 13 down the stretch, but it was 14-7 at the end of the first. They were kind of hanging in there. I mean, remember they were 13 and a half point underdogs at a point in time. So
Mm-hmm.
when it was 21
Right.
13 and a half, I wasn't really sweating. It was that third quarter that really burned this team. And yes, they did score points late. Like a late field goal, start to start
The
the
big
to
di
start the fourth quarter.
the big difference between the 49ers, yes, and I'm gonna say it, the big difference between the 49ers and the Bears is this defense. This is the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. Now you tied in with having one of the best, like, most sick pass rushes with Montez Sweat. Ever since they acquired this guy, he has been such a difference maker on this defense. 15 sacks from the Bears in the last
Whose
5
metrics
games.
say
They
that
had
the Bears
10
are the best
in
rushing
the
defense?
first 8.
Because the one I'm looking at right now has the Niners as the number one pass defense up until last
Number 1
week.
run defense. Number 1 run
Yeah,
defense. So you're gonna
yes.
take away
But
this
I'm
is number
asking
1 run defense.
which metrics are saying that? Because what I'm looking at is actually still saying it's San Francisco, even with last week. I'm seeing two different sites. So I was just curious what site you use for that.
I use PFF. I don't look at
Okay.
anything beyond PFF
No
stuff.
worries. No, I just wanted to double check because that's not what I'm using. So I just wanted
Well,
to,
then
I
let's
like
move
to,
on because we're not gonna
no
agree, so
worries.
there's a
If
really
that's your
good
best
chance
bet,
here
that could
that
be your best bet. I
we'll move
understand. I
on.
just am laughing that
I'm starting to
this
see
team.
this
I
little
wanted
snarkiness from this little afternoon mishap going on from you. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. Every time we disagree on games, it ends up being a good week. Let's go. How about opinion? Bengals Steelers side. What do you
I
like?
tease the Steelers. I don't love that spot at all. No more Mitch Trubisky. Now it's back to Mason Rudolph. Trouble in paradise. Big Ben wants Mike Tomlin fired. I had always heard rumors that they didn't really get along, and now he like fires
Mm.
off like 5 years later. Just being Big Ben, playing Sunday quarterback. I like Mike Tomlin. I appreciate what he's done. Look, he's never had a losing season. Somehow, some way, that means the Steelers need to turn it around right now. They're sitting at 7-7. Bengals, man, could this team be playing any better? Jake Browning, just somebody's going to write him a huge contract after this because we know Joe Burrow is superior, but is he? I don't know.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Like literally, Jake Browning has been able to plug and play. You would think maybe they start to see some regression on the road. Man, Pittsburgh just hasn't been good against winning teams. That's kind of my problem. So I said, all right, look, let me just throw this in a teaser with the Steelers. Lower total, right? Sitting at 38. Let's keep it within a touchdown. But I don't have a big opinion as far as the actual game goes.
Okay, I like the Bengals. I was on them last week, and I'm going to keep riding that train. I really don't think that there's really much to worry about here. And it really doesn't even have to do much with Jay Browning, as great of a quarterback as he has been. It really is a fade on the Pittsburgh offense. I don't care if it is Mason Rudolph. I don't care who it is. This is just Matt Patricia wasn't the problem. He was not the problem. And you're starting to see it. Like, finally, let's like, any eye is going to tell you. But yes, it is
I don't
Mason
know. Ask the
Rudolph. He
Eagles
is a
defense if he's part of the problem.
yeah, I mean, Mason Rudolph himself. Let's talk about that because that's a huge key of what's changed this week for the Steelers. Is he going to be able to do anything for this offense? He himself should be a liability because before his last 3 attempts that he had last week, he last played in 2021. What are we doing here? Not only are you going to come into this with some rust, but within, you're going to have some in-game pressure. New offensive coordinator. He was sacked once on those 3 attempts. That is extremely bad news when you were sacked 1 out of 3 times. Now you're going up against your left tackle in Dan Moore. He's been struggling as of late. This offensive line is in shambles. He alone has given up 7 sacks. Moore is a vulnerability. Rudolph is a vulnerability. When you have Cincinnati defensive end Trey Hendrickson on the other side, the second most sacks in the league, having a career year, he has been like the difference maker for Cincinnati having any bit of a defense because of him. Second most sacks, coming off back-to-back games, having 2+ sacks. Rudolph is going to have to help things on, I mean, he's going to be on his back. And yes, I do like Jake Browning in any against any defense because we saw it last week against.
I'll say this. I don't think Mason Rudolph's any drop off from Mitch Trubisky. That's my only point. I think if we saw the look ahead line here, which I could look up here in a second, it'd be Steelers -1, Steelers -0.5. So now that we've seen
Mhm.
this move line go all the way to 2.5, I'm starting to wonder if it's an overreaction. AFC North, as you know, these are always rock fights. These teams hate each other. They beat the crap out of each other. If you love the Bengals, we can plug it in because I don't really like the Steelers. That's just kind of my
Right.
devil's advocate of the game.
Move it along then. Bills, Chargers. What side do you like?
Listen, the Bills are in such a
It's really
flat
hard to
spot here.
find things to agree
They're
on
off,
if we don't
they're
if you have
off,
no opinion.
they're off an absolute and utter beatdown of the Dallas Cowboys. What happened on Thursday night? The Chargers get embarrassed. They get their head coach fired. They've got a longer break. I don't know what we're going to see from Easton Stick. That's the hard part here. And then who do the Bills play next week? Oh, that's right. They've got a couple of games coming up that matter so much more than this
Right.
one. There, I just look, this could be a 31-10 final and none of us would be
Yeah.
surprised. But on the flip side, if it was 17-10 because Josh Allen threw 2 interceptions against this okay defense, would you be shocked? Here's my problem with teams like we saw last week. Did you watch the full game versus the Raiders?
Yes.
Okay, I did not. I watched glimpses of the first half, and then it was like a train wreck in the second half. I could not look away. I
Mhm.
had to keep watching at halftime to see if Brandon Staley was going to come out. I'm like, is he coming out? Is he coming out? Are we going to see him? Did
Was
they
he
fire
gonna
him
be
at
fired
halftime?
at the half?
Yeah, because that's what was all over the internet. It was so bad. And typically what you want to do in a blowout like that is take the second half under. Luckily I did not. That is like an old
Right.
like kind of play.
Adage, right.
Like they almost just blindly took the under. Then there come, the Chargers finally come to play after the Raiders didn't care because they knew they were up by so much. It's hard for me to look at a team the next week objectively. The other thing is that I think is really interesting is I had Austin Eckler, if you don't remember, in my better lineup. And I was like, what is
Right.
going on? Why isn't he seeing the field? Well, one of my prop guys told me he has no incentives to play the rest of the year. Like he doesn't have like a number to hit. And
Mhm.
he's at the end of his contract. So he's trying to go elsewhere or get renewed. Well, if he gets hurt, so I kind of have to wonder, does that make the Chargers one dimensional? I just don't want to
Right.
lay it with the Bills here.
It is so easy to back the Bills. This is a Josh Allen statement game. He is going you he can they can do this in their sleep. The Bills can literally cover this game in their sleep and come back at me when like they lose outright or some craziness nonsense like that. But if there was ever a doubt, and that I'm one of them, if there was ever a doubt on Josh Allen having his turnover problems and all of this thing, whatever, all of that's going to be erased against the Chargers defense. They are so bad. Great spot for us to just remember how great of a quarterback Josh Allen is, how great of an opportunity. Hey, maybe they can actually make it back to the Super Bowl and contend. Why? Because the Chargers allowed 4 passing touchdowns from a rookie
Okay.
and Aiden O'Connell
So
last week.
so I'm going to say this from a just a blind handicapping, no math involved. They beat the Chiefs, who was like their Achilles heel. They came
Right,
back. The whole world was on the Cowboys last week. They throttle the Cowboys. Now, if you
right.
remember, they lost outright in Foxborough. So they have to have a chance to have a get right game against the Patriots. Then they go to South Florida to play the Dolphins. Why would they care about the Chargers? What is
It's
the
not even that they have to care. It's that they can do this in their sleep. We saw it last week with the Bills, where Josh Allen had like what 20 total pass attempts because their defense did the rest. I mean, you have Easton
I
Stick.
understand.
He is not
I
your
get it.
savior.
I didn't say that he was. I just feel like, look, Pam, when this opened 14 and the Chargers got hammered, and then at 13 and a half, they got bet again. And at 13,
Yep,
they
bet
got
down.
bet again. And at 12 and a half, they got bet again. These guys were coming into the book betting hand over fist because the bookmakers hung the number too high. That's the only thing that scares me here. I
I
have to.
think it's because people are going against that old adage of like you just fired your head coach. This is a rebound spot. Shit like that it tends to
There's
fall off and doesn't always
It
hold
doesn't
true. We've
though.
seen it times this
It's
season.
if you just blindly bet, I don't care if it's WNBA, I don't care if it's an MLB team that fires their manager. If they hate that guy,
Mhm.
they come to play the next week. And that's
Okay.
still the concern here. Some of these guys are playing for contracts. Some of these guys are playing for notoriety.
Oh, of
Listen,
course.
I agree with you. The Bills have to have a statement here. This isn't like college football where of course you have to have like style points, but almost style points would help their case here. They need to
Right.
win out, and they need to win out in a nice fashion. Should they be able to do so? Absolutely. But this
Mhm.
one, it gives me an uneasy feeling here. I'll say that
Okay,
much.
fine. Then let's move on. Then this was probably like one of my say favorite bets as well. Colts Falcons. What side do you like?
I laid one with the Falcons early
Jesus
in the
Christ,
week.
we are never going to finish this podcast.
No, we're not. I told you when you said you liked a lot of favorites, I'm like, okay, cool. She likes the
I
Falcons and
like
she likes
nothing
the
but us.
Bucks.
I never
Uh,
like favorites.
yeah, I know. And you don't like any of the favorites that I like. I like the Falcons here, not by a lot. That is for damn sure. It's hard to trust this team. Look, I get the Colts. They've been rocking and rolling. And look, the Atlanta game last week versus the Panthers, everybody's going to go, oh my God, they lost the 1-win Panthers who now have 2 wins. But that weather was terrible. It was gross. Yeah, there's a lot of excuses there. I get that. But you have to kind of wonder back here in the dome, Arthur Smith, I don't think he's going to get fired, but they've got to get a win here. And they've got
So y-
to
you're
go
you
ahead.
are one of the people. You are one of the people that always like to talk about the big line moves. The Colts were favored, and just because the Falcons announced that they're sitting Desmond Ritter, the Falcons are now favorites. Come on.
So the Falcons opened a 1-point favorite on Sunday night. Then the Colts got bet. Now it's back to Atlanta -1. So we've seen some buyback on both
Back
sides
and
where
forth.
I think probably different groups agree or disagree. I'm not saying I'm going to bet Atlanta with my hard-earned money, but I have to have 5 picks in the contest. And
Right.
I have to say this. I think Indiana is a little overrated, but hey, they're 9-5 against the spread. I was high on this team coming into this year, and that was with Anthony Richardson, not Gardner Minshew. He has proved me wrong, and they've really done a great job of not turning the ball over. Taylor Heineke, I do think is better than Desmond Ritter. I'll say that much.
Of course. So I'll make my case for the Colts. We can talk about the Colts offense, Gardner Minshew. That can be a later conversation, but I want to talk about Taylor Heineke against in for Desmond Ritter. Yes, if you can keep him out of rhythm and take away his legs, we know what we've seen in the years past is Heineke is great mobility. He likes to run out of the pocket, kind of create plays where none exist. But if you can take away his legs, he is such an inconsistent passer. That's always been his problem. 55% completion right now. Now, if Atlanta does try to run Indianapolis, this rushing defense has improved so much ever since they got defensive tackle in Grover Stewart back from week 14 because he was suspended majority of the season. They went from allowing 114 rushing yards to 177 combined. This has been such a difference in this run defense. Why is Atlanta not utilizing Bijan Robinson? I am one of those people that is just as mad as everybody else. Why aren't you utilizing Bijan? Splitting carries with Tyler Algier. Yes, he has been more effective. Yes, he has that home run ability, but he is now fumble prone. That has been costly. This has cost them a win last week. Now you're going up against Indianapolis, that is third in sacks and takeaways. The Colts have had a takeaway in 19 straight games. Now you have a new quarterback, take away his legs, force them to run. You can't run on them because they now have a good run defense who's really good at taking the ball away. I love the Colts. This between them and my Bears are probably going to be my best bet. And you're getting
Uh,
Jonathan Taylor back.
Listen, we can go. That's the thing. It's not like I love Atlanta. It's not like I love the Cardinals. I just don't like the other side. I mean, if you want to talk favorites, I've got a favorite on Monday night I'm probably going to bet.
I was just going down the list of an order. Seahawks
I
Titans.
know.
What's your option?
I tease the Titans. That's it. That's all I got.
Like the Seahawks. Let's just cancel this pod. Let's just like got a quarter.
I
What is the
want
favorite that
nothing
you
to
like?
do. It's Kansas City. I like Kansas City. I'd lay double digits with the Kansas City Chiefs. Did you hear that, Chiefs fans? I'm willing to lay double digits with your team because, well, everything we saw last Thursday night was an absolute farce. Bottom line. Look, I get it. The Raiders, they were up 14-0 just a few weeks ago at Allegiant Stadium, right? And then guess what happened? 31-17 final. Pacheco scored 2 touchdowns on that game and was able to run all over Las Vegas. Now, look, the Raiders, they've been red hot against the spread with Aiden O'Connell, but Kansas City's been red hot in the division, except for that one little loss to the Denver Broncos there on Halloween. And apparently that was because Patrick Mahomes had the flu. I don't know if he did or didn't. Doesn't matter to
Mhm.
me. But I think Kansas City is going to be able to pick up a little bit of steam here, right? They need to get this win. And Rashi Rice is basically the only guy not named Travis Kelce who can catch the ball for the Chiefs. And I think he's going to have himself a big game.
I'm fine with that. I'm gonna plug that in. Why? Because I
Okay.
haven't even I told you I haven't even done Monday games, but I already knew that I liked the Chiefs in this spot. Patrick Mahomes, I'm never going to doubt his abilities here. He had his first 300-yard passing game. I don't even care about the interceptions. When you don't pressure Mahomes, he went 21-24 against Raiders the first time. 9.3 YPA. I'm going to trust him in this spot. Raiders coming off absolutely insane of a game. Now you take them out of their home stadium. I'm not even going to argue. Plug that in. So now we have your best bet and Chiefs minus 10. Those are the two games that we have.
Yeah,
now,
you can't ever come to the show without a best bet again, because you could have picked either one of those and I would have just had to go with you, even though I disagreed, because that's how this works.
I'm still,
but because you're like,
I'm still
I
there.
have a best bet. Oh, okay.
It's going to end up in one of those, if not both, are going to end up in the card.
Right.
I promise.
Do you like
Lions, Vikings?
Lions, Vikings. I like the Vikings. Of course I do.
Jesus.
Why would I like the Vikings here on the road? Come on. You cannot take Jared Goff out of his little
Yes, you can. Why? Because the Vikings is an indoor stadium. It doesn't matter that he's on the road. He is indoors.
The place is absolutely electric. Look, Minnesota's last 4 games have all been decided by a field goal. And now all of a sudden we're giving them a field goal.
Yes. Because it doesn't matter. Jared Goff on the road is a non-factor when it is Jared Goff playing in an indoor stadium. This is a familiar spot for Goff. He is far more efficient. He's far more consistent. He is actually a great freaking quarterback when he's playing indoors. 69% completion, 21 touchdowns compared to 5 touchdowns when he's outside. There is a huge difference. Now, because you have a great Goff,
the Vikings defense is going to be able to make this team really one-dimensional.
Their
right?
run game, the Vikings are hella strong against the run. They are so bad against the pass. 31st in completion rate, and we saw it. We saw the secondary for Minnesota absolutely get wrecked last week against Browning.
They did
in the second half. In the second half.
They did.
In the second half of games.
Late.
I
felt for everybody who had Vikings money line in that game. That was really painful. I had no dog in the fight, but I felt bad.
Bengals were my best bet last week, and I said the one worry that I had was that in his short sample size of games that we saw, he hasn't played zone coverage much. This is why he struggled in that first half. But then they adapted. They made changes after the half. And then what came out? Second half for Jake Browning against this great Minnesota defense. 243 yards, 9 YPA. Now you're getting a better Jared Goff who has the receiving weapons in Amon St. Brown and Sam Laporta, who's literally the best tight end in ever.
He's great.
Minnesota loves to blitz. Good luck to Minnesota if you don't get home against Jared Goff against the blitz. He's 6th in YPA and 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm gonna love all 3 of them. All the games that you don't like.
I've already bet the Cardinals and the Vikings. So it is what it is in my world. I have not had a great year. So we all know that. How about a favorite?
Washington Jets?
And no, we're not even talking about that game. That is the dumbest game on the board. In what world should just cancel that game? And I've already cashed my under 9.5 season wins. Can we just fire Ron Rivera and let those guys have a bye week? Let's stop torturing them.
How is this not easy? The Jets defense against Sam Howell. That's it. That's the handicap. Good luck. Jets at home. Jets defense at home.
If it was only so easy.
It should be, because at home they play Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa. Is Sam Howell in any of it? He's not even in the same atmosphere.
How are the Jets going to score?
When you have an offense, your offense is raised. Your offensive floor. Let me rephrase that. The Jets' offensive floor has the potential to be raised when you are going up against the 32nd ranked defense in Washington. They don't have Chase Young. They don't have Montez Sweat, which means they have not been able to apply any type of quarterback pressure whatsoever. Their safety in Cameron Curl, he is flawed and he has been exposed in the secondary. He is getting wrecked every single week by opposing quarterbacks, no matter who they play.
Zach Wilson, whether he comes out of concussion protocol or not, I'm
expecting Trevor Siemian.
He's on his ass all game long. So it doesn't matter if it's him or not. I mean, look, this Commanders defense is not great. I will agree with you. But both these teams rank in the top in turnovers. I think this is a coin flip game. I could
don't.
see it being like last week in Carolina, be like 9-7.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. Like, what a worse way to ruin your Christmas Eve with your family than to have a bet on the New York Jets.
Didn't have a
Just
bet on the
saying.
New York Jets. Fine. Browns, Texans. What's your side?
I tease the Texans.
Jesus Christ.
It's a great teaser week. Lots of low totals. Come on, Deshaun Watson was supposed to be, returning to Houston as a Cleveland Brown, but now we got Joe Flacco. Come on, don't you just want to lay
Who's
2.5
good?
with Flacco on the road? Let's give Flacco comeback player of the year while we're at it. Look, guys, I don't love this spot here. I think the Browns have solid lines, both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive. Flacco's got a little bit of time, which is nice. But we know that no CJ Stroud really is hurtful to Houston, even though they were able to beat the Titans last week in kind of a very wonky game. And King Henry just did nothing, was absolutely shut down. I think that sometimes when you have a player that's hurt and teams step up in their place, but I think that was unfortunately last week, so I don't really want to use that against Houston this week. But I could see this being 21-17, Cleveland, no problem, and I cash the Houston teaser.
Okay, we're opposite. Move on. Packers, Panthers. Actually, I don't like a side on either of those. I like the under. I love the under on 36 in this matchup.
Okay.
Next, I don't have a side opinion on the side.
Yeah, I
Jags,
want
Bucks.
nothing
What
to
side
do
do you
with
like?
the 2-12 Panthers after finally getting another win over a divisional rival. And I'm not sold on Jordan Love. I actually told Brett Secret Santa to get him a Jordan Love jersey as like a joke, right? Like for the friend group. And he looked it up. They're $200. Who would pay $200 for a Jordan Love jersey? I'm sorry. I'm not drinking the Jordan Love Kool-Aid. I don't understand it. He has a very high ceiling. He's very athletic. I think he makes some okay decisions at times. I can't figure out if he's not very good at the other times or if it's Matt LaFleur's problem. And that there could be a mixture of both there because we all know him and Aaron Rodgers didn't get along very well. So,
Well, I do think that he's
next.
going to struggle, but I think the Panthers will struggle worse. So I would lean to the Packers, but I love the under on this. This is one of my favorite plays for the week.
Okay.
Is the under on this game. We'll move on.
All right.
Jags, Bucks.
I laid one with Tampa Bay in one of my contests.
Oh my God, plug that shit in. Because of you.
Okay. I put it in on Monday night because we have to have it in really early. And initially early in the week, I liked Tampa. The line moved in our favor. So do you think the line moved because Trevor Lawrence is not playing? Or do you think that
I am never going to say that Trevor Lawrence is not going to play.
Bucks? Okay.
I don't care that he's in concussion protocol. Like, he would absolutely have to be stuck in a hospital because he has never missed a start. And there's been multiple times this season where, okay, we think he's going to sit. No, he ends up starting and he does fine. So, yes, I don't even care like whether Trevor Lawrence is in this matchup or not. It's really about backing Tampa Bay because I was high on them last week. And
somehow Baker Mayfield. But you know what? John Murray said this last night on the podcast about Baker, and I thought it was really interesting. When you keep being on these 1-year deals, you're kind of like fighting for your life as like a mid-tier quarterback in the NFL, right? So it's like you either do just good enough, like let's say they win the NFC South and a playoff game, they'll probably bring him back. Because again, like I was just saying with Justin Fields and why the Bears should bring him back, because what else are you going to get? Are you going to keep trying to draft quarterbacks that don't pan out? Are you going to keep trying to trade for the Andy Daltons of the world? You have to stick with somebody at some point in time. And I bash Baker, I bash Todd Bowles, but this defense is starting to play a lot better. And Baker's coming to play, man.
And that's one of the reasons why I liked it. I liked the Bucks last week, and that ended up cashing easily. But it really has a lot, and it's a lot of the same reasons here. Is that Tampa Bay, yes, is on a 3-game win streak. But why are they on this win streak? Because they finally have utilized the run game. They have the 8th most rushing yards during that 3-game win span. That run game development that they've had, their best rushing output, 125 plus rushing yards in all 3 games. Doesn't sound like a lot, but they're averaging 4 yards per carry compared to 3. Their offensive line is healthier, and because of that, they're starting to gel. Running back with Rashad White, 20-plus carries in all 3 of those games. Consistency in that run game has led to more passing options for Baker Mayfield. This is why he himself has become far more efficient. Jacksonville secondary. I know this team. I hate them. That secondary is absolute garbage. They've given up 300-plus passing yards in 3 of the last 4 games. You could really see here a hyper-efficient offense from Tampa Bay. And in theory, Trevor Lawrence, if he does play and still in concussion protocol, I would be shocked. But if he does still play, on theory, he could do well against this Tampa Bay secondary, 27th in completion rate, 31st in YPA. But the Bucks also blitz at the third highest rate. That is terrible news for somebody like Trevor Lawrence, who even more so, if he's not 100% when he is blitzed, he's the third worst quarterback ahead of Bryce Young and Kenny Pickett. So that's we'll go with the Bucks.
Yeah.
That's already plugged in.
Okay, let's go with the Bucks. I like it.
Cowboys, Dolphins. You love to fade the Cowboys on the road.
Yeah, I was just looking at that game again. I really was. So I do have the Cowboys in a teaser, which is no longer available because this line's down to 1. My problem is I can't figure out why this line is down to 1. Now I know everybody moved the Bills line last week. I laid 2.5 with the Bills and I was like, great. And then there was nothing to worry about. Is that what's going on here? Tyreek Hill just had like his 7th baby of the year. Is he going to play this week? I have not heard.
I don't know either, but I don't think it matters. I'm handicapping as
Jalen Waddle still pretty damn good. So, look, I have a concern about it being a back-to-back road game for the Cowboys. I have a concern about the blowout maybe not being as bad as it was. Because I'll be honest with you, when you've got 4 TVs, Pam, you got to have selections here, right? So you got Red Zone on one with the audio, and then you've got the other games you really care about. Well, why the hell am I going to have the Bills on when they're blowing them out? Like, I have nothing to sweat. I'll just catch the highlights on Red Zone on the left, screen. So I had a lot of other games that I was really concerned about this week. And that was not one of them. So full disclosure, I did not watch very much of the blowout. And the Cowboys have already clinched a playoff berth. They've lost 4 of their last 6. I don't really know what to make of this team. But like I said, at 2.5, when it came out early in the week, I said, all right, I've got to put this team in a teaser because that's a good spot for them. And they burned me last week in that situation.
I like the Dolphins.
Okay.
So what side do you like then?
I would say that I like the Dolphins. If you want me to pick a winner, I would say the Dolphins win this game.
Okay. So what we saw, I think why we're seeing the line move is because, yes, the thought is Tyreek Hill's not in the lineup. This is a much easier defense, the Dolphins, compared to what the Dallas just faded last week. And they are still one of the best. Dallas still has one of the best defense. The problem with that is that the Dallas defense has not translated on the road. They're 25th in takeaways versus 1st at home, and they could struggle again. Why we saw Tua Tagovailoa without Tyreek Hill absolutely crush the Jets defense is because Mike McDonald is one heck of a coach, and he knows exactly what he is doing. What he did to help eliminate some of that pressure from Tua Tagovailoa, get the ball out fast. Last week, skeleton crew on offense. No Tyreek Hill and major injuries to that offensive line. They had to reshift him around. And Tua had 70% of his passes out of his hands in under 2.5 seconds. That is the fastest not only for the week, but of the season. If he can do that again, that's a big question mark. Is if he can do that again, replicate that, then they could have some success. The only other difference also is that the Bills gave away the playbook on how to attack the Dallas defense, and that was through that run game. James Cook had one hell of a game. Problem is Raheem Mostert did not practice on Thursday. So without Mostert, I no longer want the Dolphins. If he does play, I want the Dolphins. And I think that's why we're seeing the line move.
Really? For a running back? I don't know. I was
when you're already shorthanded on that offense.
On the X-verse. I was trying to see on the X-verse what I could find.
Let's just move off it because I would need Mostert in that lineup because he is every bit as good as Christian McCaffrey. So if you eliminate him from this offense, yes, now you are putting it wholeheartedly into the hands of Tagovailoa without Tyreek Hill. And no amount of let me get the ball out quick is going to help you when you don't have that run game to help you balance.
Well, we're running
Broncos,
out
Patriots, your team.
I was just getting ready to say we're running out of it. Like I said, friends don't let friends lay points with the Denver Broncos off that horrific 3-game road stretch. Like I said, the Lions last week was nice and easy for me. Not too much stress. I appreciate that because these days, Why?
Because Denver's finally at home after 3 straight road games. That alone is going to help them. And in the 4 games,
I need Russ to not be Russ. Like
it's not even about Russell Wilson. It's not even about. It's not even about Russell Wilson. It is about. It is not
Like, I
about
just
Russell
wanted him to
Wilson. It
grab
is
him by
about
the face mask
Jesus
and be like,
Christ. It is about the Denver defense. Solely the Denver defense against Bailey Zappi. They've had 4
"Look,
home
I was on the
games
Patriots
after
last week.
week
I
5.
lost by the hook. It was
The
painful."
Broncos have had 4 home games.
Or
This is
was
like
this
a
the game we
Jets type of
tied
thing. You
in?
take
I
them
can't
out.
remember.
They've had 4 home games. They've had 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions. Opposing quarterbacks have been averaging 194 yards, 9 sacks. This is a very good defense at home. Now you have a big defensive game opportunity against Zappi. The Broncos can absolutely lead a defensive assault on this guy. Put him on his back. He's had very strong starts, but in the second half of games, you see it in both his stats and in the eye test. Zappi has some major regression in that second half. He's had turnovers. He has the inability to move the ball. What have we seen from the Patriots offense all season? The inability to move the ball. He's been sacked 4 times last week. He's young. He's turnover prone. Now you got to go into Denver's home and do well there. New England is scrambling on that offensive line. They've placed players on IR. They're rearranging that offensive line. Now you have a pair of rookie guards defending Zappi up the middle. Denver, 7th in blitz rate. They're going to have
Look,
a
we'll
field
just
day.
take
This
the
is a
Broncos
huge
because
get
I need that 8.5 wins ticket that I didn't tell anybody I bet because it was so embarrassing after they started 1-5. I needed to cash, so I need to win here. I'll take the Broncos with you. I don't care. I'm not laying points with this team in real life. And that's what I keep trying to tell people. Like, sometimes with these contests, you got to dig deep. Like, you're
Okay,
not
here's what we have.
walking
We
to
have
the
your best
window with
bet.
hard-earned money.
We have your best bet, Ravens plus
Yep.
5.5, Chiefs minus 10 to the Raiders, Bucks minus
Yes.
1 to the Jags. That's literally
Yes.
the only game that we agree on. So how about we just plug in 2 of my two of my favorites, and that would be Colts plus 1 to the Falcons. And do I like Bears or Broncos more? God, you're talking about I'm doing this purely
You
for
like
defense.
so you're going to say
Zappy
Colts
sucks.
plus 1 is your best bet.
I'm not going.
You have to give out a
I'm gonna
best
say
bet. That's how this show works.
Hold on, let me think.
My
Yes,
best bets
Colts
have been
plus 1.
horrible this year.
Yes, Colts plus 1 will be my best bet. Colts plus 1
Okay.
will be my best bet. That's plugged in. Deal with it.
Colts plus 1, done. I really don't care. I'm telling you, that game is just there's a very smidge of value in the contest. I think the current. Let me pull up the odds screen. WagerTalk odds screen.
I don't even care about the odds and
I want to see what the line is currently. Listen, I like at least let me feel like there's some line value here. Okay, like I gotta like feel less dirty about this. No, it's now 2.5. Ooh, and you like Colts
2.5.
Yeah, oh boy. Oh boy. Now I gotta go take a shower. Okay, be right back.
That's only 4 games. And then the fifth game, I'm gonna do it. Also, I'll have 2 best bets this week. Bears minus 4 to the Cardinals.
Okay. Done.
I don't even know what to think about this. Just whatever. You know what? Plug it in and be done with it. That's it.
This is just so you know, I just want to read you my early week card. So on Monday night, I did Tampa, Atlanta, Ravens, Cardinals, and then the under on Sunday Night Football as my 5 Monday night plays. And then for my own personal super contest, I'm going Atlanta, Cardinals, Vikings, Ravens, and I still need a 5th. And I get it. The Broncos are playing for a playoff spot. I might just plug them in. I don't know what to do, Pam. This is just, it's like I said, I should have had like a glass of wine before the show because that phone call I got right before was like, okay. So Pam and I are Ravens, Chiefs, Bucks, Colts, Bears. Yes? Plug it in.
Chiefs, Bucks, Colts, Bears. Plug it in. That's it. and I am the caveat. I have this is my stipulation that I may or may not change my mind come Sunday because I'm gonna come back to Vegas tomorrow. I'm not there now. I'm gonna readjust my thinking. I do love both of these games, and I say I love these games because I have actually bet both of these games. I never bet early in the week. I've took both of these games early on, and that never happens.
We gotta pick them on one of the contests with the Bucks. I like that.
Well, there you go. Well, then those are our 5 against the spread contest picks. Small victories, we'll take it because literally this was probably our worst week of cohesive.
Yeah, this
didn't exist.
This made me not want to be your friend anymore. I'm kidding.
Honestly, this whole season, you probably aren't going to be my friend come January. You're coming for
I
Super Bowl and you're not even
Pam,
going to call me.
we need to take a break. I'll see you for Super Bowl. Don't talk to me for 6 weeks. When the playoffs start, I'll see you in the Super Bowl. We'll get some dinner. Caviar and champagne. Celebrate.
Girl gang reunite in Vegas. That's our 5 against the spread contest picks. Just to reiterate, it is Ravens plus 5.5 to the Niners, Colts plus 1 to the Falcons, Chiefs minus 10 to the Raiders, Bucks minus 1 to the Jags, and Bears minus 4 to the Cardinals. Do make sure to follow Kelly on X at Kelly in Vegas. Follow me on X at Pamela M35 and the WagerTalk, both on Twitter and on the YouTube. And that's it. That's it for another episode of Stack of Stacks.